guys, welcome to my channel. Today's video I want to talk about long-term planning in homeschool. It is something that I have done since we first started homeschooling, and so I kind of wanted to share my process with you guys. Those of you that are new, my name is Ashlee. I have 3 kids. I have a soon-to-be 5th grader, soon-to-be 3rd grader, and a preschool pre-K-er. And so you're probably like, why are you even talking about high school when all your kids are in elementary? I truly am a planner at heart. I don't rest well when things aren't planned out. Having this sort of long-term plan helps me stay confident in my homeschooling and, you know, kind of navigate through, you know, what could be negativity, or when you question or doubt yourself of like, am I doing all I can for my kid? And what I mean by that is, you know, my goal in my homeschool is to prepare my kids for whatever they choose to do in their adult lives, right? We only get 18 years with our kids as far as being able to nurture and educate them. And so am I doing everything I can to set them up on the most successful path in whatever that is in life? As far as, you know, college and all of that, I'm not the type of person that thinks you have to go to college, even though I am in my degree or in my career because I went to college. It was something that I really struggled with. I didn't have the opportunity when I first graduated high school to complete college because I had to pay for everything myself, and so I didn't get my college degree until a few years ago, after I was already working, and I wanted to advance in my career, and something that was really holding me back was not having a college degree, but that's just the industry I work in. So I do see there are needs for college degrees, but I don't think that's the only option. So we're not the type of family that is like, you have to go to college. It's, do you want a career that would require college? And if so, here's what we need to do. If you'd rather go to trade school, if you'd rather do something completely different, then how can we set you up for that success? So knowing all of that, and also knowing that people are indecisive, even adults still don't know what they want to do. So it's really hard to ask an elementary kid, a middle school kid, a high school kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? I know that's always asked, and yes, my kids can tell me right now what they want to be. I guarantee you that will change 10, 15 times. I always tell my kids the job I have now, I would have never guessed in 100 million years that that's what I would be doing. And so we just don't know the path that life has for us. And so as much as we can try to prepare to what we think or our kids think they want to do when they're older, that's not always what we can do. So we can generally plan and generally have these goals and these kind of milestones that we want to accomplish to make sure they're going to be on the right track. With all of that being said, I created an Excel sheet because it's just easy for me to keep it year after year and add to it. I'm going to show you guys my Excel sheet and kind of my method through really planning out for those high school years. I switched the camera around. Another thing is when I'm choosing curriculums, this is also something I have in mind. Is this something long-term that's going to benefit us and keep us on the path or the track that we're on? You know, there's, I'll talk about math curriculum. There's a lot of good math curriculums. I don't think Saxon is the best. Every curriculum is going to have its pros and cons. However, some of the curriculums that I really like are only up to like upper elementary, maybe a year or two into middle school. So for me, I want something that we can use long term. As much as you may think I like changing curriculum, I really don't. I would like something that we can just use long term. And so when I made the decision to switch to Saxon, one thing also was like, we could use this. This is a built-out curriculum used for decades that has graduated people from high school to college and beyond. And so it's a tried and true curriculum, and they have the required, high school, college level courses as options. So that is something else. Yes, there's curriculum that I really love for like my preschooler, and I see what he's going to be using in his elementary years. But again, those curriculums aren't being formulated for those high school years. And even if they do get formulated, there's not enough research behind them to say what are they really going to be good aids in helping your child succeed in college and long-term life. So something else I like to mention is that's kind of what I do as well when I'm looking at curriculums is, yes, it might not be the best at this moment or overall, but long term, is it something that's going to benefit us? Okay, I'm going to switch my computer around so you'll see my Excel screen, and then I'll kind of walk you through what I did on this Excel. All right, so this is just a simple Excel. I mean, there's some labels on the column in the top just for different subjects, and this is supposed to be a working living document. This is not the end all say all. This is so I can get my thoughts out, I can get the curriculum out. It's kind of a record keeping, so keep that in mind. But really all I did was make some labels up top and on this side. This is no Excel skills needed except typing and bolding some fonts. So I made a tab for each of my kids. So I have my oldest daughter, my middle daughter, and my son. Next to their names, I put their like technical graduation year. If they were in a public school, this is the year they would graduate. So I just kind of put that in there. I haven't figured out my son's yet. So anyways, so that's how I did it. I just copied and pasted across all the kids. Now my oldest daughter, you know, I only remember really what we used for her 3rd grade level as far as record keeping. Plus, honestly, I don't think you need to keep records that young in elementary school. So I just took what we did last year and added that, and then this current year. Middle daughter, I have her 1st grade records, and then for my son, I really could track everything because we'll be doing it. I only kept the basic things, like overall, like what core subjects, so English language arts, science, social studies, foreign language, physical education, and electives. The way I came up with these is because these are what's normally required on a high school transcript and college requirements. So, you know, you can do however you want. This is just kind of what I settled on. Social studies would obviously be things, both geography, history, American history, world history, all of those things. So what I did is so in the column math, I went down and said, okay, what curriculum have we used? What are we going to use? And what's the plan? So for math, it was pretty easy. What we used last year, what we use this year, what I plan to use next year. And then using Saxon's website, I just went on and kind of entered in like the path that they recommend. And then what I did is I went online, I went to our state school website and looked at the requirements for high school graduation, the different diploma types. I looked at our state university, and then I looked at other state universities to see what their requirements are from a high school level. And so when I was doing this, I was able to say, okay, what courses would count towards a high school transcript for my state and for, you know, my rules. Now, you're a homeschool. You really can do whatever you want within your local state requirements, but that's what made me feel better. If I'm doing the exact same coursework that our local high schools are doing, and that matches up with what other colleges are requiring, then I felt like I was in a good place. So how I kind of organize this in my brain is anything italicized means we have not done it yet. It's a want or a future plan. So I kind of did that. And then anything highlighted with this like pale yellow is something that could count towards a high school credit on a transcript, according to what research I did in my state and other out-of-state colleges I was looking at. So if my daughter continues to use Saxon, her 8th grade year, she would be taking Algebra 1/2, which is Saxon's pre-algebra course. My state, and I'm saying this with emphasis, my state allows pre-algebra to be counted as a high school credit. That is not for all states or all college requirements. So pre-algebra, I didn't honestly think it would count, but it does. It flat out says pre-algebra is considered a high school math course. So that means in my daughter's 8th grade year, she would get credit for this as a high school math credit. Saxon is a little bit weird with how they do things. They have then Algebra 1 and Algebra 2, but both of those courses have geometry built in. So after doing some research on Saxon's website and other, sources, if they complete both Algebra 1 and Algebra 2, they can also get a geometry credit. So this would actually end up being 3 credits. So technically, with my state and my state high school, she would finish her math requirements her 10th grade year. That doesn't mean we wouldn't do others, but we're on track is pretty much what I'm looking at. Now, if she wants to get into maybe a higher level university, then she would need 4 or 5 years of mathematics where like pre-algebra wouldn't be included. And so that's where I kind of put their next, like Saxon has an advanced math, a pre-calc, and I think calculus. So we definitely have wiggle room and could do that. But this is kind of how I took one curriculum that I know is tried and true and said, okay, what is the path we could follow? I then did the same with IEW. Now we use a ton of different things for English language arts, but IEW has that path flow. They are building out all the way through high school courses. There are even, these can actually even be dual credit college courses as well if you start researching on their site. So I did that exact same thing. What is going to count towards language arts? And then I did the same thing with Apologia, science, and our foreign language courses and electives. This kind of helps me when I'm in those moods of like buying curriculum and planning, and it's like, well, how is that going to fit into the plan? Because once we hit this 8th grade year in a couple years, we can't just, we have to have a plan. Like, this is what we're working towards. Like, what's the goal here? If you guys want to see some of the resources I have as an example, I did kind of put them on the tab. They're for my reference as well. And these change yearly. So I know each year I'm going to have to go check our state, graduation requirements, colleges change acceptance. But these are just like little snippets I took to help me, meet the minimums that would be required. And so over here, this green and blue, this is our state, how they have their graduation diplomas set up. They have a standard and an advanced. So what I did is I went off the advanced because then our state university says, here's everything that's required, or if you just have an advanced diploma, then you get accepted. So I was like, well, we might as well just do the advanced diploma. It's only 1 more credit than the standard. So I do feel like our state is a little weird with certain things. Like there's a college and career ready credit, and there's like all this verbiage down here. It's, I feel like they make it more complicated than it is for whatever reason. So again, the state we currently live in, cross-checked it, we're going to be more than okay. And then I did look at some other universities as well. And what I thought was really cool is some of the universities, and I didn't screenshot all of them here, but a lot of them have homeschool kids requirements, right? And so they kind of break it down. Okay, this is what, if you went to high school in this state's required, or if you're a homeschool, this is what's required. A lot of the college requirements just fall back, honestly, on ACT scores. So then I went down that rabbit hole of what is an ACT, when can you test for it? And you can start testing for it your 9th grade year. You can take it, a few times a year all the way up to your senior year. And it's really just a score that colleges look at. So that's also something I keep in mind. I know her 9th grade year, we're going to start taking that ACT test because that is something that would be required of her to enter most colleges. That is something else. And I thought I had it listed here, but maybe I didn't. I just kind of mark it to know, you know, too, maybe her 8th grade year, she takes an ACT prep course. You know, we don't know what's on the ACT. Thankfully, though, I do test my kids. I know that's a homeschool taboo thing, but I do it and we love it. And I think a good reason of it is it's going to just prepare them for the future. They don't get nervous taking tests because they're used to it. That if this was the first time in all of her schooling in 9th grade that she sat and took a test, we don't even need to worry about the problems on the test. We need to worry about her just knowing how to take a test. So if you're on that pathway and you think college may be something in the future, even career school, trades, they all require testing of knowledge. And so I would recommend, at least in the middle school years, getting them used to some sort of standardized testing type environment, so that's not an issue that would hold them back. Then I obviously copied down for my middle daughter. You know, she's on a similar path with math and science, because I'm combining some of these language arts and science levels with her older sister. You know, she's actually going to have things done maybe a little bit sooner, or I may need to supplement. I think in 2 years, they're going to break in science. In 2 years, they're not going to be able to do science together. And that's where I'll have to kind of find a substitute or an option. And that's why this document is not in stone. This is meant to, you know, oh, that's not going to work. I can just delete it, you know, or I can move it around, whatever the case may be. But this kind of just gives me an overall game plan to help with planning long term. All right, so that is how I plan long term. If you have questions, comments, leave them down below. I'm not going to share that Excel because it's, like I said, just some titles and column titles. So just pause the screen that I shared and you can copy yours. But this is something that is, I think, simple enough to keep it, and it keeps track of things too. I see you know, there's things you can buy to write this type of stuff in. You can do it for free just as easy. And I will be the first to tell you, I cannot remember for the life of me like what curriculum we very first used, because we change stuff sometimes. And so having it written down on my computer just saved saves me brain power, especially with multiple kids. So don't think you're going to remember. You're not going to remember. Get an Excel or even a Word. I mean, it doesn't even have to be an Excel, and start writing these things down. Look at the curriculum you're using. Is there a long-term path with that curriculum, or are you going to have to find something else, right? It's fine if the curriculum you use is only up to 5th grade. Just know what's your next step. Long-term, what are you going to do? And then obviously, you know, if it's important to you to meet the same requirements of like your state or your local university, those are websites I would start checking out as well. It's never too early to prepare. Just know that things will change. You need to be flexible. And this is something that I think annually should be updated and maintained. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Have a wonderful day, and we'll chat soon. Bye.